Hi there, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Nerd Waffle Live number 4. Today, I have Wayward Nerd joining me, and tell us a little bit about yourself, Wayward.
Hi, my name is Wayward Nerd, and I do comic book reviews on my channel. Do a bit of anime too, and then I also have a Twitch channel where I do podcasts and draw streams and all that.
Okay, so you do some drawing then?
Oh yeah, I'm also accepting commissions right now as well.
Where can people find your commissions? I will put a link in the description below. But for anyone who wants to get a commission, what's the best way to do so?
I do have an Instagram. I can, which is Wayward Draws at Instagram, and I have a thing on there telling people about that.
Awesome. Definitely check that out there because he is a good artist. I've taken a look at his stuff. I'm actually considering commissioning him as well. I mean, I do drawing myself, but it's always good to support other artists. And so today we're talking about, I guess, Batman in general. I'm not really caught up with Batman, but so like, have you read anything about the Batman metal that's going on there?
Oh yeah, I've been keeping up with that one pretty well. The only one I haven't checked out was the Bats Out of Hell part, mostly because I missed out on getting that Hal Jordan and Green Lantern book that came out. It's still sold out. It's incredible.
Which book is that with the green? Is it like a crossover with the Batman metal and Hal Jordan?
Yeah, it's a tie-in. It covered 4 books. One of them was Justice League. I know one of them was Hal Jordan, the one I was talking about that got sold out. And another one was The Flash, and I can't remember what the other one was. Possibly Cyborg? I can't remember. I really want to get the individual issues, but I cannot find that one, so it's kind of holding me off for the moment. But I've read everything else and it's been really good. It's not a great story, since it kind of does a lot of things that other story arcs have done in the past. Like, it has a lot of tie-ins to Crisis on Infinite Earths and all that, but it's really fun. I'll say that.
Okay, so what's the deal? Like, what's going on with Batman? What's up with Batman metal? Like, why is it called metal?
There's this mystery going on. Before this, there's already this mystery going on with this metal that he found, and it's pretty much ties into this power that's going in the dark side of the universe, which is over the course of it, there was revealed to be a whole opposite side of the multiverse. Not sure if you're aware, but there's 52 universes within the multiverse, and then there's actually the anti-52 where all the worlds died. And basically, there's all these. There's this demon Barbados who's a tie into a way old Batman story from the 80s. And he recruited all these dark Batman who went evil from their universes right before their planets got destroyed. Like I said, it's not a smart story, but it's fun. That's the main thing I'll say about metal.
Okay, yeah, it looks interesting to me. I just never got a chance to pick it up there, but it's definitely something that I definitely want to take a look into myself. So what actually goes on? So there's multiple Batman. They're bad guys, right? Because they look
yes,
bad.
They pretty much all there's that whole thing where Joker talks about it's the philosophy from that Alan Moore book. I can't think of what it's called right now. I don't know why I can't think of it, but it only takes one bad day for someone to go bad. And it's pretty much just recounts all those times that Batman could have taken the wrong turn and ended up choosing it that one time.
Was that the Killing Joke?
Killing Joke, yes. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Any case, for example, the Red Death who stole Flash's powers, pretty much all of his Robins got killed, and he was just like, hey, look, I can take your Flash powers, I can go back in time and save them. And he did that and ended up destroying his whole world and universe in the process.
Okay. Yeah, I saw something with with the Wonder Woman Batman. I saw this like animation type thing where it was just where it was basically he stole the power of the gods or something.
Oh yeah, he took Ares' helmet after he defeated him.
Yeah.
That was actually my favorite one. I'll say. Tomasi does not get enough credit as a writer. I think he's easily one of the top best writers in the game right now.
Oh really? I'll definitely have to check that one out. What else is going on in Batman right now?
Batman right now, I just got done reading the 36 and 37, which was the double date with Superman. I'll say I haven't been a huge fan of King's Run. I've dropped it quite a few times. I just decided to check these ones out. Mostly, I'm just not a big fan of his those cutesy things he does, where he kind of turns whenever he's doing a slice of life story, he turns Batman into parody Batman, which I'm not huge into. His serious stuff's all right. Like he had a one right after that where it was a lot more serious about this kid who decided he wanted to become Bruce Wayne, so he did it by killing his parents, and that was and Batman had to investigate that. That was a good one.
That sounds a lot like Hush, to be honest.
That does. I kind of like that he picks more from the because like Snyder took a lot more from Morrison and Milligan and the weird wacky mystery stuff, and King's more ground level Batman. So I'll say that's one thing I do like about his run.
Yeah. I don't see, like, the thing is I saw the cover when I was in the comic book shop last of the Batman. It was like the Batman, Catwoman, Lois Lane, and Superman go on a double date. Was that?
Yes. My biggest complaint with it had a really good moment that made it feel kind of worth it to me, where Batman and Superman, they're kind of, they're really de facto friends in the fact that they're both loner type people. And they're both not realizing, they both don't think they're worthy of being each other's friends because they talk each other up really well.
Yeah.
It went on too long though. It shouldn't have been a two-parter. I'll say that.
Because it's weird to me that Batman would agree to go on a double date.
Like I said, he became parody Batman for that arc.
Yeah. So it's sort of like who I'm not sure who wrote it, but whoever wrote it probably was like, oh yeah, what would happen if like the world's finest went on a double date together, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
in a way you'd have to add the joke, joking Batman, because you couldn't put serious Batman into that situation. He'd just be like, no.
Yeah, I'll definitely say at least he compartmentalizes. Like, it's not parody Batman when it's serious. I can always get behind that. Still kind of just comes off weird where, like, there's a weird moment where Catwoman's just like, oh, yeah, it's totally Clark Kent that's Superman. They both have he just wears his glasses, duh. And I was like, okay, I get that that's, a joke we all make. But if I'm supposed to take this seriously, I'd really like you to, pretend that that's a hard secret.
Yeah. Because, well, I could see Bruce, now that there is a difference. I could see Bruce Wayne going on a double date with Clark Kent and Lois Lane and Selena Kyle, but I couldn't see Batman and Catwoman ever agreeing to go on a date like that, let alone a double date with two. I can see Lois and Clark. I can see them going on a double date with people, but not Batman and Catwoman,
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't really make too much sense. I mean, even the way it happened, they went to a circus, not circus, a kind of like a theme park, amusement fair. They went to a fair and it was costume themed. So there's this really goofy scenario where Batman and Superman had to wear each other's costumes. And yeah, it was just super odd to me. I was like, really? It just felt like hey, it'd be cute and funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of rubs me a little bit the wrong way, but King managed to save it every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's weird, but would you recommend it to anybody?
I would, in some regards. I think a lot of people will like it a bit more than I did. Like Switchwood saying right now in the chat that he loved that issue. I think, and also, when I originally dropped it about issue 16, it was still at $3.99. It's now at $2.99, which is a way better price.
Yeah. I don't know. I might pick it up. Actually, I was joking with Switchpoint. We were both at the comic shop, and I was like, I can't see this, but anyways, that's another story. Is there anything else going on Batman-wise, like besides Batman Metal and Double Date?
Detective Comics is pretty cool right now. It looks like it's all setting up to end this arc right now, where they've had the whole Batman team. They just got a new mayor that came in, and he's basically there's always been the issue of whether or not it's been all right to have a vigilante in the city.
Yeah.
But now it's pretty much he's got like his whole squad now. It's like 10 people deep of Batman people. So, and now we're going to see how that concludes. Plus, there's also this whole thing where Tim Drake from the future came back and was saying that Batwoman was going to eventually betray them. So I think they're also going to hit pay dirt with that in this arc too.
Yeah, that sounds very similar to something. What was it? There was a movie that just came out recently that was a lot like that. It was a newer Batman thing. I can't remember what it is, but it was interesting. So that's
was it a DC animated movie?
Yeah, it was a DC animated movie.
Okay, I haven't watched too many of those. The last one I saw was the Teen Titans one.
Okay,
and that was the one before that I saw was Son of Batman.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really been keeping up with the DC and not really Marvel either for a long time, but I have been because I've been more so buying. I've been more so buying and reading a lot of independent stuff. Like I've been reading Tarot, the a lot of Tarot, and I've been reading a lot of. Well, I have been reading Green Lantern, and I have been reading Watchmen, the new one there.
The Doomsday Clock.
Doomsday Clock, that's the one. But I haven't really, other than that, I haven't been really reading a lot of like Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman recently. So, yeah, so I haven't been really keeping up with Batman myself. But it sounds interesting. I'm actually interested in Batman Metal. From what you've described of it,
I definitely recommend that one.
It sounds like there's a Batman for each of the Justice League members.
Oh yes, it's pretty much just like edgy Batman Justice League
with some like really crazy drawings, like this is metal, man. Like.
Oh yeah, one thing cool that's been going on. Capullo has pretty much been hiding random devil horn. People doing with their fingers in the artwork. Those are always fun to find. And then random metal references as well. So it really goes all in on that stuff.
Oh yeah, that sounds that definitely sounds interesting there. What about anything else in the DC world you'd recommend reading that you've read?
I really like Superman, and same goes for New Superman. I think it's a really great side stuff. If someone read anime, read manga and anime and all that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it has to do with him. The way he's been unlocking his Superman powers was by learning Tai Chi and going through all the gates and all that to figure out how to unlock his powers in relation to. It makes it more interesting. Plus, he's a kind of a jerk character, and he had a good base level to where he'll grow as a character, as opposed to just starting out as a good guy.
And that's the new Superman, like the one from China that Switch was talking about last week on my show.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because that sounds interesting. That one I definitely want to check out myself. Where would you recommend starting? Are they very far into the series?
They're pretty far into.
Because I'm the type of guy.
Oh,
sorry, I'm the type of guy that I like to start at the beginning of a story, sort of thing.
I would really recommend just start at the beginning, honestly.
Okay.
It gives you it introduces the characters really well that way. That because they introduce more as it goes along. Because eventually he right at the beginning gets the Batman of China and the Wonder Woman of China, and then eventually he gets the Flash of China. And I think they're about to have a Aquaman of North Korea to join their team soon.
That sounds interesting. So Switch is saying it's 19 issues in. So that's not too bad. If I start now, I can pick up probably a couple issues a month kind of thing, catch up in a few months kind of thing. So that shouldn't be too bad to catch up on. The other thing that I've kind of seen was I don't know if you've read it or heard anything of it, but like Milkman Superman or something like that.
I have no clue what's going on with that. I really haven't followed Young Animals at all. I've been kind of I really do not like them at all. It just feels like Vertigo from the 90s, but with defanged. That's the way I describe it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, you said Young Animals.
That imprint where they have they pretty much took a lot of the properties from Vertigo, like Doom Patrol and Shade the Changing Man, and then made them for a new generation. I really didn't like the Doom Patrol one right away because it was it called back a lot to Morrison's run of Doom Patrol, but it really was. I don't feel like everything it was offering new didn't feel fresh to me. For example, the main character had pretty much stole the origin of Flex Mentallo.
That sort of seems like, and that comparison sounds a lot like what's happening with Doomsday Clock, is that they're trying to mimic Alan Moore, but not doing a very good job, but trying to add their own thing. I don't necessarily hate Doomsday Clock, but there's good parts and bad parts. It's not really like the actual Watchmen story had some bad. It wasn't a complete, like, every single panel or every single thing in Watchmen wasn't like I wasn't on the edge of my seat, but a lot more so than Doomsday Clock. So just what you said there with like the comparison with them trying to recreate the past but with their own spin.
I definitely don't think Watchmen needed a sequel, but it's already had like 3 other ones, like 2 prequels and another sequel, I think.
I thought it just had 1 prequel, and that was the Before Watchmen.
I could be wrong. I didn't read them though. I couldn't get into it.
I'm fine with a sequel of Watchmen and Before Watchmen, but only if done right. And I don't. That's the thing, is that it's one of those things that's really hard to capture again. I don't know. I didn't feel like Watchmen was great. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't feel satisfied with just that story. Like, I wanted more Watchmen because, like, I wanted more Minuteman. I wanted like more prequel stuff to Watchmen.
That's right. They did do a Minuteman one. They did that was one of the prequels, wasn't it?
Yeah. One of the Before Watchmen was actually about the Minutemen. Now I haven't read any of the Before Watchmen, so I'm not sure, and I don't really think I've heard any reviews on it. But yeah, I also kind of wanted, like, even before they announced, even before Watchmen, I was like, I wonder what happens after this. Like, you know what I mean? After Watchmen, like, because I don't know, it just didn't feel like everything just kind of wrapped up very nicely. Like, yeah, okay, it wrapped up some things, and Rorschach blew up, but I don't like fake Rorschach and Doomsday Clock. I think that they either should have done with him what they did with the comedian, or they should have just left him out completely.
That is really strange. They replaced Rorschach and then also brought back actual comedian too. That's really odd to me. I don't understand that.
Yeah, and maybe that's how they could wrap it up. Maybe at the end of the story, Dr. Manhattan is recessing and like maybe he's losing his abilities. You know what I mean? Um, I mean, we could see him at his prime, but then afterward, like, you know, there's hints that maybe his powers are going away. And with that, maybe he is starting to feel some human emotion again, you know what I mean? So maybe he feels guilt for blowing up Rorschach and like brings him back. Same with the comedian. And that would kind of give him motive to do so. And I think that that would kind of like dwindle his character out. You know what I mean? Like the tachyon particles within him are, you know, losing their charge kind of thing, you know?
I mean, that'd be like a happy ending for him, honestly.
Yeah.
Which kind of just feels kind of not Watchmen, because
Yeah.
none of the happy, it wasn't really a happy ending for anybody. There was some mildly, like, there's a mild victory in some of it where Owlman and Silk Spectre, I can't talk right now. Silk Spectre got together. That was kind of a mild, lukewarm, kind of like little victory you got.
If they did it right, though, they could make it a very bittersweet ending. Like it would be a happy ending, but they could add some they could add some you know, so they could add some things in there, making it a little more bitter. You know, like I don't know what they could add in. Like I'm not writing the comic, but it'd be kind of an interesting way to tie up all the loose ends kind of thing, and then they could just dwindle out Watchmen, and then they'd have a beginning, which is before Watchmen. They'd have Watchmen, and then they'd have the Doomsday Clock, and continue on from there.
I'm still wondering what the game plan here is. I'm wondering if they're going to try and bring all these Watchmen characters over to the main universe.
Yeah,
that's something I'm really wondering.
I do like the idea of the mime people that they have in there. They're really cool. I think that's actually an interesting development. And yeah, Switch is right. Real Rorschach versus new Rorschach. I think that would actually be cool. Because I think that new Rorschach would get his ass kicked by by real Rorschach.
I mean, the old one was nuts. That was the thing. He did not care about killing people at all.
Yeah, he just didn't even really care about anything. He did, but in a sick and twisted way, you know, like.
Oh yeah, he was. I mean, he was like invented to be. He's like a dark twisted version of Ditko's Mr. A.
Yeah, or the Question.
Yeah, they're both Ditko characters.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of weird. Alan Moore like wrote a song that was just like completely making fun of Ditko.
I like Alan Moore, but he's
a dick. Yeah,
it's weird because it's always the good comic writers that are crazy, you know. Like, I mean, look at Grant Morrison.
Oh yeah, I like Grant Morrison a lot.
I do too, but like you look at, he's a great guy. I honestly agree with a lot of things he says when he goes on a rant, but like you know, and he's like, oh yeah, I was taken up by aliens and stuff. I'm like, all right. But it's weird because and it's like you almost have to be like that. Like it's weird that a lot of the good writers are a little bit different, which is fine. You know, it's good to be different, but it's strange. It's they've written really good comics, you know, Alan Moore. But Alan Moore, yeah, he's a bit of a dick. Like, it's funny. I always say this too. Actually, he's a good guy too, because I've seen him do like lectures for people on how to write comics and stuff. So he does actually want to help. But there's some weird things that he does. Like, did you ever notice when he got angry at them for like adapting his movies and stuff? Well, I don't hate League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie, and I don't hate Watchmen. And honestly, I feel like the movies, a lot of people are mad because they're not like the comics, but a lot of the things they did in the movies kind of made the stories make a little bit more, like, tied it up a bit better. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
thematically. like, you know, like I still love the ending of the Watchmen book, but the one in the movie has a lot more to do with like what's actually going on, whereas the one in the book is actually more just has to do with what was going on in the time period, but nothing of what was going on in the story, if that makes sense. Like,
Oh
the
yeah.
story is all about nuclear energy, and it was also like, well, I mean, it was mostly mimicking certain things, but at the same time, um, there was a lot to do with nuclear energy, with like, you know, Dr. Manhattan and what Vidit was trying to do and all that. But with the movie, they kind of bring that back around and are like, okay, well, it's actually a nuclear threat that's going on. And I'm like, that still makes sense with the time period. But I still like the comic book ending. And the same thing with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is that, like, yeah, it wasn't as dark and whatnot. But Alan Moore, he was like, oh, they're not writing the characters right. They're not doing the characters right of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And I'm like, how dare they adapt my characters? And I'm just like, those are actually characters from books. And given the time period, I wonder how these authors would feel about you adding graphical pictures to their literature, you know what I mean? So I mean, it's kind of like you're getting mad for something you're doing. You're ripping off characters from other things and mirroring and parroting things, and yet you
Well,
can't.
I was gonna say Disney does it a lot too, like where they're trying to like keep these like licenses on these characters, and they're like remaking their remake of like Beauty and the Beast and all that.
Yeah.
When it was still just an adaptation in the first place. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. Actually, the Jungle Book is really good, but the Beauty and the Beast was all right, but it wasn't anything great. Cinderella was actually pretty good. Alice in Wonderland was terrible.
Oh, that's awful.
God.
They just keep throwing money at Tim Burton and what's his face, Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I know. Like, Tim Burton does well when he makes his own like things, when he does his own thing, like Edward Scissorhand. And
I mean, I like his Batman still, both of his Batman movies.
oh yeah, both his Batman movies are really good.
He kind of just got pigeonholed into the style where it's got to be the weird updates.
I think the least weird movie that he's had, or less his style, was the first Batman.
Yeah, because that's still more of a pop movie. They had like a lot more control from the company.
Batman Returns like totally like throws a lot more of his style into it, you know?
I love that one. That's probably my second favorite Batman movie. I really like the downer ending. I love the downer ending.
Yeah. I honestly liked Batman Returns a lot. It's probably honestly, it was one of my favorite Batman movies. I like Batman Dark Knight. I love I don't care what anybody says. I love what's his name? Ben Affleck as Batman. Honestly, I feel like he's got Batman and he's got Bruce Wayne down. Now, the writing is questionable, but that's not all his fault. Like, Ben Affleck does a little bit of the writing apparently, but you can't really pin that on him. But his performance as Bruce Wayne and his performance as Batman is like the best Batman Bruce Wayne combo we've ever had.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever his fault that Batman v Superman was bad. It was just there was a lot of just dumb decisions. Like they took out a bunch of scenes like about Superman, his like motivation towards things, but kept in scenes like Batman doing CrossFit for 10 minutes.
Martha.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things that I really think they should just not done that movie entirely. That was awful.
No, I disagree. I think Batman vs Superman's awesome. I like the idea of it, and there was a lot of good parts to it. I really think casting someone like Jesse Eisner was a bad idea. all the other casting was really great, and I'm not a big fan of the Man of Steel either, but I think the casting in that was great as well. I will like as much as Man of Steel is one of my least favorite movies. I will say that that and Batman vs Superman had some really great actors, and they did actually terrific performance. Like they did really, really good in acting as far as acting's concerned in those movies. I think they were just terribly written.
Yeah, I actually think I'm one of those weird people that I hear this a lot, that Man of Steel was worse than Batman v Superman. I actually think it's the other way around. I think Man of Steel had a more redeemable script. I just think there's so many things in Batman v Superman that I just think were dumb. Like the whole, I don't understand what the point of the whole, well, the Doomsday, the Doomsday and the ending was just dumb. They really should have saved Doomsday for a Superman movie.
Yeah. Honestly, I have the thing. I think they're about equal because, like, honestly, like I was about to say, like I have one problem with Superman, Man of Steel. Then I was like, no, wait, I have another one. No, wait, I have another one.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot more scenes that you could take out and it'd still work. Like if you took out that scene where his dad died and replaced it with anything else.
Yeah, I agree. Krypton was cool, other than the fucking dragonflies. Like I try to go back and rewatch it every once in a while just so I can like give it another chance. And every time the dragonfly part comes up where they're fucking on dragonflies, I'm just like, yeah, I remember why I don't like this movie.
It's Zack Snydering. He's like, that looks cool. Doesn't make sense, but it looks cool though.
Yeah, well, and I didn't like the part where his dad died, and I didn't like
there's too many flashbacks, I'll say that for sure.
I didn't like the ending. I did not like the ending. It's so anti-Superman that I left the theater and I was like so depressed by that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I had an initial interpretation of it, but now that I've seen Batman v Superman, I know that's not the case. I was kind of seeing it more like that was going to be his reason for never killing again. But it didn't really seem like that when you watch Batman v Superman. That was ever the intention of that scene.
No, it was honestly. I heard a story, and I don't know if this is true or not, because I honestly don't know them. Like, I personally don't know them, but I heard a story that what's his name, Christopher Nolan, suggested that they end it with Zod also going into the Phantom Zone. And I guess Zack Snyder's big issue with it was that he didn't want them. He wanted to end a villain, like do something different. You know how like a lot of superhero movies have it where at the end the villain's defeated but they're not killed. He wanted to do something different, and I'm like, this is not the time and place. I get what you're trying to do, but not with Superman. That you want to do something like that, do it with Batman. I mean, Batman doesn't kill, but make like some sort of accident happen or something like that. That's because you have a darker tone with Batman. Superman is supposed to be about truth and justice and finding a different way and everything like that. And it just felt like, nope, snap his neck and what does the S stand for? It means snap the guy's head.
I'm gonna agree. I'll agree with you there. I mean, I still think they're both bad movies.
Yeah,
same. I'd lump Suicide Squad in there. I don't know. Suicide Squad's probably worse.
What? I loved the only thing I didn't like about there was one thing I didn't like and there was one thing I was disappointed with. The one thing I didn't like was the villain. The villain was really weird. But the rest of the movie, like I loved the Suicide Squad characters. I love the acting. As far as the thing I was disappointed in was I was really hoping, and there was a fan theory going around that Scott Eastwood's character was an older Dick Grayson infiltrating the Suicide Squad and like keeping an eye on them for Batman. which would have been a really nice tie-in and really like a tip of the hat kind of thing.
There were so many theories about that movie. Like I remember when the Joker theory was going around, and everybody's like, "That's actually Jason Todd" or something like that. And I was just like, okay, they're definitely gonna take that risk in that.
See, that one I wasn't necessarily agreeing with. Like I was like, I don't know about that, but yeah, I was like hoping Scott Eastwood would have a bigger role because I mean it's Scott Eastwood. He's such a good actor, and I feel like he doesn't get used enough. I don't know if it's because of him or not. I'd honestly love to see him. If they recast anybody for Wolverine, I'd love to see him as Wolverine.
I could see that.
I think he'd make a really good Wolverine, considering he looks a lot like his father, and considering a lot of artists back in a long time ago, like there was a few artists that actually took some of their drawing inspiration for Wolverine from Clint Eastwood.
I can see that with the squinty eyes and all that people would do.
Oh yeah, I mean there's fan art of it online too, and it's like, oh my god, that's actually really good. But
I'm pretty excited about Wolverine being back too in the Marvel. It's probably gonna take a minute for it to get good though, because they gotta do all this convoluted explanation of how he got back and all that.
Yeah, see, they could do a few things because they got the Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, you can like continuity, fuck continuity at this point because they got the Infinity Gauntlet. I honestly, just because he's wanted to do it so bad, and because like we as fans owe it to him, because he's done so much for us, is Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. They could even do a thing where Thanos fucks with the reality or something, and maybe they cast a new Wolverine, and all of a sudden Thanos switches realities somehow or something, and then all of a sudden new Wolverine goes to like Hugh Jackman Wolverine for like 10 minutes or something. You know what I mean?
That could be neat. That could be neat. I don't know if that Fox thing is gonna fall through. I'm hearing it's falling through that agreement. But at this point they probably won't do it because I think they're too close to being done with Infinity Wars, the movie. I do think the comic for that Infinity, and whatever the Infinity new thing is called, I'm sure that's gonna be how they're gonna get Hulk back.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that things will go through with Fox. I think that maybe they won't get all the rights to all the Fox properties, but they'll probably still get the Marvel rights back.
I don't know.
Because I mean, if Warner Brothers can have all of DC, I don't see why another company can't have all of Marvel. You know?
I think it should happen just because I'm getting tired of this divide, and especially since Marvel Comics will do this thing where they're just like, oh yeah, that one character, we're not going to give any spotlight, that person any spotlight. We can't use them. It's not worth it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I hate it, but it makes sense as to a company standpoint. Like, if I was a company, I wouldn't want to give free advertising to the competition. You know what I mean? And essentially, maybe not to you or to like comic book fans, but I think that to like the general public, it is pretty much advertising. You're printing someone else's your character, but you're advertising a movie because it's like, oh, look, we did a really awesome job with the Human Torch, and this is a really great book and everything. Oh, and everybody, it's selling out comic wise, and then Fox goes, oh, we're gonna make a Human Torch movie. Thanks for putting that out, by the way. It's a whole marketing thing, right?
Yeah, it's just really annoying to see that happen.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm hoping that they get all of it, and I'm hoping that DC ramps up, Warner Brothers steps up their game, and they have been. I mean, I know that you don't like Suicide Squad or whatnot, but I've been sort of seeing slow progression in the movies. Like, honestly, from Man of Steel, I thought that it was on par or similar. Was Batman vs Superman, and then Suicide Squad got just a tiny bit better, and then Wonder Woman was good, and then Justice League was just a tiny bit better than that.
I think the reshoots in Suicide Squad were way too obvious, especially all the way they did the music and all that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then also, like I said, that we were saying that the villain. I just like once that it's like they started like shifting that towards like the villain thing. I was like, oh, this is really the plot. Oh, this is the plot. Oh, Wonder Woman was good though. I like Wonder Woman.
Yeah. So I think that wraps up our time for today. We went to about 45 minutes there.
Okay.
But thank you for coming on my show. It was great to have you.
Yeah, it's been great chatting with you.
Yeah, and we'll probably have you on again sometime. And for anybody looking to get commissions from Wayward Nerd, definitely going to be a link in the description, and definitely check out his other social media there. And everybody have a great night. I'll let Wayward Nerd sign off first.
All right. I'll catch you next time. It's been great. Check out my YouTube channel.
All right, and thank you for tuning in. And I always have to do this for Flatmeister, but Toasty. And thank you for tuning in. Remember to hug the person next to you, as there's not enough caring in the world. And until then, keep it toasty. Have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you next time.